Greetings everybody, Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So recently I went down the road, literally down the road here, and went to another vinyl fair. And as usual, a bit of a mixed bag what I found. Some of the records I've been after for some time. And so we'll see what they come up with. And I think the main thing for me, though, apart from getting these great records, is hooking up with people that I haven't seen for ages. It seems to me the only time I ever see these folk is at these vinyl fairs, which is great. It's also nice for the Muizenberg community. Gets people together, gets a bit of a vibe going. It went on from about 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. So I think there's another one coming up on the 26th of this month. Not too sure if I'm going to be able to make that one, but anybody in the Muizenberg area here in Cape Town, come down to Eastlake Village here in the Marina da Gama and you'll find another vinyl fair. Anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? So the first record was this band's third album. They trimmed down the band a bit. I think they first started out, there were about 6 or 7 guys. In fact, there were 7 or 8 guys, and here they're only 6. Talking about The Foreigner. And their third album called Head Games, with for me a slightly dodgy cover, and I'm not too sure what that cover has to do with the name of the record, Head Games. So you've got this young girl who seems to be perched on the edge of a public urinal somewhere, and she's got one hand holding up, looks like a roll of toilet paper, and she's wearing this skimpy skirt which has got sort of musical notes on it, and very strange. I mean, obviously the budget wasn't much for the album cover. A bit strange. Head Games. The track itself is actually all about psychological games people play with each other in relationships, etc., etc. But what the toilet scene has got to do with it, only they would know. Anyway, there's a picture of the band at the back. Of course, they still had Lou Gramm over there as their vocalist and Mick Jones, the main guy in the band. So what else can I show you? There's not much else to show you inside. There's another picture of the band. So who's in the band? Lou Gramm, lead vocals. Mick Jones, lead guitar, piano and vocals. Ian McDonald, the guitars, keyboards and vocals. Al Greenwood, keyboards and synthesizer. Dennis Elliott, on drums. And Rick Walls on bass and vocals. Musical direction, Mick Jones, produced by Roy Thomas Baker. This album did pretty well. For me, it's not as strong as perhaps their second album, Double Vision, or the very first one, just called Foreigner, but it had some pretty big hits. Dirty White Boy, and that's the song that sticks in your head. There's a couple on here that they should get those earworms going. And for me, these last few days, because I've been listening to this album, and that's one of the songs that have been sticking in my head. Dirty White Boy, good rocker. Some nice guitar work from Mick Jones. Love on the Telephone, Woman, which is a song about woman, strangely enough. I'll Get Even With You. A lot of these songs are about relationships, and I'll Get Even With You is a guy getting back at his girlfriend or whatever. 17 is probably a song about this lady here, 17. Head Games, the title track, which is another one of those great sort of commercial rock tracks, did pretty well for them. The Modern Day, not my favorite track on here, probably the weakest of the whole album. It's got Mick Jones on lead vocals, and he didn't have a great singing voice. Blinded by Science is okay. Do What You Like, and Rev on the Red Line, quite a good rocker, and that finishes up the album. So that was my first find. As I've been after this one for a while. I've come across it before, but I've just never grabbed it. I thought, what the hell, it was a good price. So I got it, Foreigner's Head Games, their third album. Next one, I had this band on my hard drive, and given them a few cursory listens, I think the one I have is a live album on my hard drive, but this was their first album, I think. Now you tell me you're not thinking of The Sound of Music when you see this album cover. The band was called It's a Beautiful Day, and this is a self-titled album. Come on, that just screams The Hills Are Alive. There's a seagull in the back. So what is their music like? Well, I guess they're from San Francisco, by the way. So this was the late 60s, early 70s. When did this album come out? Is there a date here? Yeah, that's the inside cover there. moody looking. Let me see if I can get the date here. Late 60s, early 70s. Of course, there's no date. It's either 69 or 70, I'm not too sure. Shows you how well I know this band. But they're very similar to Jefferson Aeroplane, that kind of vibe, female vocalist. Let's think what her name is here. Patti Santos, vocals, tambourine, bells, block, and gourd. Bruce Steinberg, harmonica, Val Fuentes on drums, Mitchell Holman bass, Hale Wagonet on guitar, Dave LaFlame on violin and vocals, and Linda LaFlame, the other lady, on organ, piano, electric piano, Celeste, and harpsichord. So it's, I think they must be brother and sister, or not sure if husband or wife. Some really cool tracks in here. I'm still getting into this though. I must give this another listen. White Bird, Hot Summer Day, Wasted Union Blues, and Girl with No Eyes. Very sort of whimsical stuff, some psychedelic slightly, very much like I say, Jefferson Aeroplane. This band just never got to the same heights, I think, as Jefferson Aeroplane. Then the first track on side 2 is very interesting. And it's got something to do with Deep Purple. So the track is called Bombay Calling. Have you listened to the beginning of the track? Tell me what you hear. What I hear is Child in Time. And apparently Deep Purple acknowledged the fact that they stole that kind of opening riff. I think it's slightly faster on here. In fact, I think Deep Purple had a live album or a live DVD called Bombay Calling. So they do acknowledge the fact that they stole it. So that's the first track, Bombay Calling, a very cool track. Bulgaria, and then Time Is, which is the longest track on here, and that's 9 minutes long. Interesting stuff. If you're in the mood for sort of psychedelic pop from the late 60s, early 70s, then this is one to go for. California, San Francisco band, sorry, not California, yes, San Francisco. I just love that cover. You can almost see old Julie Andrews there with the rest of the gang. The third album I got 5, by the way, all in all. Third one I got is, I believe, his very first solo album while he was still with Traffic, Steve Winwood. And this is a self-titled album from 1977, I think. It's not that strong. It's Steve Winwood, you know, he's a brilliant musician and all the rest, but there's no songs in there that really stick in your head that stand out for me. Hold On, Time Is Running Out, Midland Maniac. In fact, the entire album, there's only 6 tracks, so it's almost like an EP. Vacant Chair, Lux In, and Let Me Make Something in Your Life. See if there's anything else I can show you. Yeah, there's just who plays what on where. So Time Is Running Out, he's got Tim Capaldi, his buddy from Traffic, on percussion and backing vocals. And Rebop Kwaku Ba, who's also part of Traffic, on congas. Willie Weeks on bass guitar, Andy Newmark on drums, so there's some big names on here. And Nicole on backing vocals. And who else is on here? Andy Newmark, same lineup. Recorded at Basing Studios. Brother James on percussion. I'm not sure who Brother James is. So yeah, it's an okay album. I must say the condition of these records that I found is pretty good. This must hold the vinyl the correct way. I've seen many people just putting finger smudges and all the rest of it. You know, I just cringe. Hold the damn thing correctly. Obviously brought up with CDs or MP3s. So that was number 3. Number 4, a live stroke studio album, and I'm slowly but surely getting a collection of this guy's stuff. Talking about Stanley Clarke, bassist extraordinaire. I mean, some of the stuff on here is just scary. Very different to, say, what's his name? The man from Weather Report. Mine's gone blank. He plays a piccolo bass. And, as I say, some of the runs on here, like he's playing a lead. So there's some previously released tracks on here from School Days and what have you. There's a whole bunch of guests on here. Jeff Beck, Dee Dee Bridgewater, she does some backing vocals. Daryl Brown, Jerry Brown, Kathy Carson, Stanley Clark, obviously. Steve Gadd's on here, Stan Getz, Al Harrison, Freddie Hubbard. Big names. Lee Rittenhouse, you can see there's a whole list of names there. Here he is with his cigar or cigarillo. This came out in 1979. There's a great open gatefold for you with his bass guitar. Some nice live shots there. Some of the cool tracks in here: The Streets of Philadelphia, Together Again, Blues for Mingus. Obviously, that's a jazz. It's a bit of a mixture. There's quite a bit of funk on here, and lots of R&B and soul mixed in with progressive jazz. I mean, he was also part of Return to Forever. Jamaican Boy. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of good stuff on here. I just want to see if there's anything else I can show you inside. I think there's a inside photograph. Yes. So there he is with his bass, and there's the rest of the guys who appear on here. There's a whole bunch. That's Jeff Beck in the top there. He appears on a few albums with Jeff Beck, old Stanley Clark. And then at the back, there's all his bass guitars, or some of them, and there's the acoustic bass that he plays as well. Serious collection of bass guitars, and I mean, this man was an absolute master, is a master. He's still going strong today. And there's just who plays what on where. I'm not going to go through all of the tracks. George Duke's on here on keyboards. Daryl Brown on drums. All sorts of people here. Some live stuff from the Greek Theatre in 78. Long Island, New York in 78. Los Angeles, California in 77. Those are the live tracks. And then the rest of it, I think, is all studio. Really nice album. I'm glad I came across this. Stanley Clark. Double album. And I got it for a good price. It's a really hot day today. Beautiful day, actually. I took my dog out earlier. And then I thought, what the hell? A very good friend of mine, Peter DeWitt, he's one of the traders. Normally catch him down at these fairs. I thought I'd treat myself to a sealed copy, brand new. Well, it's not brand new. This was originally released back in the late 60s, but you know what I mean. This is a repressing. 1967 this came out. John Mayall's Blues Breakers, and this is the first album to introduce. Yep, there he is, Peter Green. And I didn't know this cover was actually a John Mayall painting. He did a bit of painting as well. So this is just one of the great blues albums from the late 60s. Ainsley Dunbar, very young Ainsley Dunbar there on drums. Of course, he would go to play with Frank Zappa and a whole bunch of others. John McVie on bass, of course, would go on to form Fleetwood Mac. There he is, Peter Green, vocals and guitar. And John Mayall at the top over there, also on guitar, piano, harmonica, and the rest. Dust My Blues, There's Always Work, The Same Way, The Supernatural, Top of the Hill, Living Alone, A Hard Road. It's just great blues. You're into good English blues, or just any blues really, stick this on and crank it up to number 10. You can't go wrong. The Stumble, that's a well-known track. I think that's an Albert King track. Hit the Highway, Leaping Christine. Yeah, it's a great track. And this pressing is amazing. Sound on this is really good. So there we go. Treated myself to a John Mayall. I still need to get the Beano album, the one with Clapton. But I'm sure I'll find that at some stage. So there we go. Just a few records that I found at the fair. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Down below, any comments, please, more than welcome. Give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It'll definitely help the channel. Enjoy the rest of the sunny day here in Cape Town. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.